Steve, you've served as director of the Vital Church Project for 5 years now. And during that time, you've worked with a variety of churches. Can you tell me briefly, as we think about churches in the various stages of development, we often talk about revitalization and renewal. What for you are the signs or aspects of what a church that's vital looks like?
So we've really learned a lot about that over the past 5 years and across the nation really in the last 20. And some very intentional work has been done recently in our area to really get clear about what are the common practices of truly vital congregations. And they really fall into kind of three categories. And the first one is that really vital congregations really seriously focus on developing excellent leadership teams. And especially a core leadership team that's made up of people who are high commitment, who are passionate about their discipleship, and who understand the role of congregational leaders is to lead the congregation into discerning and expressing its calling. So that leads to the second thing that is pretty typical of vital congregations, and that is that they ask serious questions. The leaders ask serious questions of the church about who we are. Who do we love? Who do we care about? What are the things that we do well? What are the things that motivate us and inspire us? And congregations that really understand those things about themselves, who do we say Jesus is? They have a lot more vitality than those that are not asking those questions. And then that leads to the third thing that really vital churches do well, which is they focus their ministries on reaching the people that God is sending them to with the blessing that they are intended to bring. And they're intentional about that, and they evaluate their ministries on, are they working in reaching the people God is sending us to? Are they helping people be transformed into the people God is calling them to be? Are we blessing the world and transforming it in the ways that God has gifted us to do?
There feels like it's a partnership that makes this happen. I mean, what happens in the local church, what happens in the local community, but also kind of what happens as a local church works with you. How would you describe that? What's involved to make vitality happen?
Most often, I think the trigger, the switch that needs to be thrown and that outside help can help do is for the church to quit measuring itself against a glorious past and against a ministry that was once its calling, and to begin to ask itself the question, who are we and what are we good at and what is God calling us to now?
What's the first way it says, we want to be a vital church?
Well, so I think the first thing is that people in a church that where that is really happening begin to find each other. And they begin to create a community that says, we believe God is calling us to be something more, and that we're interested in finding out what that is. And then I think some of the tools and resources that we have developed in the area are designed to help churches do that work, to help them figure out who they are and what they're good at. And very often, I mean, this is just human nature. We need to be told by somebody else, well, I see you being really good at this. But it takes somebody in the church saying, we want more. We believe God is calling us to more, and to find some others and to begin to seek that help to discover that.
So I know you're going back into the local church at Rose City Park come July 1st. Mm-hmm. And you've been doing this work for 5 years. When you go back into the local church, what do you take from your perspective as the director of Vital Church Project as you return to the local church setting?
Yeah. Well, number one, excitement to go and do again what really has been the purpose of my calling all along, which is to help people in a congregation find their life in God and to share it. And what I will be doing very intentionally, I think, as I go into the work again, is to, number one, realize that the role of a leader is to develop leaders. We'll be asking what we're good at. We'll be looking at our community and asking who is it really out there? Who are the people that God has placed around us? So I think the power of connection in congregational vitality work is that all of our congregations really are unique. It's not a not a cookie cutter, right? This is not, if we all just did the same thing, it would work out great. It's precisely the opposite. And I think that having a vital church project coordinator, someone whose role at the area level is to assist churches in finding vitality, is in part being a collector of narratives that enable one to go into a situation and say, you know, you're a lot like this other place I've been that learned these things were helpful to them. So it's a curator and a connector of congregations that have like challenges, maybe similar gifts, to begin to share their narratives and understand better how to do things. Churches that thrive believe that God has given them everything they need in order to do what God wants them to do. And it moves a church into a worldview of abundance that says, if God wants us to do it, we have what we need, and we can just begin to do that.